In this video, we're going to look at inequalities. So, suppose you're asked, where is f of x strictly greater than 0? And this is asking you, where is the graph above the x-axis? Now, in a previous video, we showed that these x-intercepts happened at -5 and +1. So when is this above the x-axis? Well, we do not include the x-axis. So this part of the graph that I've drawn in red is strictly above the x-axis. Now describe, where does that happen? It happens when x is between -5 and +1. And we don't allow the endpoints because the endpoints are on the x-axis, and this is where we want to know where the graph is above. And if you're asked to give your answer as in interval form, we do not include the endpoints. So this is the open interval. So when my x values are between -5 and +1, so that's not a point, that's an open interval. So why don't I change the question? Let's ask, where is f of x less than or equal to 0? Well, because of the symbol here, you're asking where is it below or on the x-axis. And so we include where it's on the x-axis and then where it's going to be below. And if I look at the x-axis to tell where this happens when my x values are coming in from -infinity up to and including -5. And then when my x values are 1 and to the right. So when my x values are between -infinity and -5 inclusive, or at 1 or anywhere bigger than 1, I get a point on the graph that's either on or underneath the graph, the x-axis. And so that would be the answer there. So let's go on to the next one. Now for G, you can clearly see that G is completely above the x-axis. So where is G greater than 0? Well, that's asking where is it above the x-axis. And we can see here it's above the x-axis everywhere. So if I'm going to write that in terms of x values, whenever my x values are between -infinity and +infinity, it will give you a point on the graph that's above. So in interval form, it would be that. Where is g of x greater than or equal to 0? Well, that's asking you where is it on or above. And again, the answer is everywhere. Because of this letter, of this word or. It's either on or above here and here and here. All of these points are strictly above, but they're asking you where is it on or above, and the answer is everywhere. So again, it would be that. Now, if I turn it around, where is it on or below the x-axis? Nowhere. And so the answer, I don't know, you might type D and E or the null set for the empty set or no solution. Now scrolling down to the last one. This particular one, as we saw in a previous video, it had 1, 0. So there was one x-intercept at -3, the point -3, 0. So if we're asked where is h of x strictly greater than 0, well, that means where is it strictly above the x-axis? And we do not include this point because at that point it's on. But it's going to be above everywhere else. So if I'm going to do this on where does this happen on the x-axis? When x is everything except -3. Because if you have x values out here, they're always going to correspond to points on the graph that are above, but not at x equals -3 because it's on. So everywhere except -3. And if I read that from left to right, I include everything except -3. And so that would be the answer. But now, if the question is, where is this on or above the x-axis? Then that will include everything now because it will be on here, and that is now allowed because of that symbol, and above everywhere else. So everywhere, i.e. for all x values. So any x value that goes from -infinity to +infinity will correspond to graphs on or above the x-axis. So that would be the answer for that one. Where does that happen? Well, that is when it's on or below the x-axis. And it's never below the x-axis, but it is on the x-axis at -3. So it's on when x is equal to -3. So that would just be a singleton. And then where is it strictly less than 0? That would be where is it strictly below? And it's not strictly below the x-axis anywhere. So again, that's another one that does not exist, or the empty set. It doesn't happen anywhere. Okay, so that should give you a fair idea. You need to look at the graph and find the zeros. Sometimes the zeros are easy to see just from the graph alone. Other times you'll have to work out what the zeros are. But this one didn't have any real zeros, so there were no x-intercepts. So I'm going to stop the video there.